Thanks for coming back and hanging out. Well, let's get back on this transmission, get it back on that engine. We got a couple little issues, 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 10 before we do that, so let's get on it. Good to see you again. So what do we got here? I told you about this bushing. There's a little brass bushing in there. See it? And this bolt, not so round. Can't get this bolt anymore. I have boxes and boxes and old coffee cans full of bolts, so I'm hoping there's going to be one in there. Hopefully Ralph Sr. was thinking of us. Anyhow, new little bearing, right, goes in the thing with the new little clips that puts the bearing in the thing. This thing right here. Okay. The kit actually came with a bushing, which is kind of a blessing because I bought a bushing separate, not realizing that the bushing came in the clutch kit. So I've got one I can mess up. New little boot where the thing goes through the case, you know. And remember I told you about that? Ew. Little eyelet, little thingy, a jigger. Right? Like $8. We got a new one. Alright. So we're set to go, but we got stuff to do. Just here. So first I'm gonna get the thingy off the thingy. So looks like it's just, well, there's one spring. It's a good thing you got new ones, huh? Oh, once you know it, safety wire. Huh. Come on, honey. Well, thinking that thing might need wired brushed a little bit. So now we got that off and I get this bushing out. So I'm going to turn you guys off, move you over to a block of wood on the floor, see what I can come up with. Yeah, you can really see how oblong that hole is. Maybe you can't. Trust me. You guys trust me. Alright, well, first attempt. We got to get that in there. After we get the old one out. Huh. I'm such a good cameraman and my lighting skills are tremendous. What I've got is a socket. It's an old socket. Well, most of my sockets are old because I'm old. I've been doing this for a long time. Just the car stuff in general, you know. My trusty brass hammer. Let's see if we can get her to nudge. And the wood's soft enough that that bushing should go into the wood a little bit. Look. Ooh, all the crap that come out. It's moving out. Moving on up to apartment down on the east side. That was a song, well, I can't, the Jeffersons. Yes, now I'm aging myself. The Jeffersons. Yep. Coming on out. So, you probably watched the last video where the Punk and Holler boys took a trip in the Airstream. Had a great time. The AC quit working and it was a really hot day. And don't you know it? All I had to do was Google Airstream motorhome generator reset, because I knew everything else worked, just nothing coming out of the generator. Sure enough, in about half a minute, I ran out to the motorhome there, flicked a little switch that was hidden underneath the carburetor, and voila, it's fixed. Well, that'll never happen again. Alright, let me find a bigger socket. You guys just stay there, alright? Don't go nowhere. It'll just be a minute. So, okay, how about this? I like this old socket. Sounds like a tool show. This old socket. Or is that houses or something? I don't know. So now I got me a socket. Go ahead and get her on out of there. Yeah. It didn't seem to work too bad. You guys can't see. Maybe you can. That's pretty wore out on the inside. Alright. Before I put that in, I'm going to go ahead and run this through the cheek poking machine over there and get her cleaned up. I'll be right back with you. Yeah, well, notice something funny here. Not the sandpaper trick funny. Trying to clean that rust out of there. You guys see that? And it's kind of like that over here too, like it's worn on the old pilot bushing thingamajigger. So we'll have to, I mean, I'm sure it's plenty strong, but I wonder why it's done it, so it doesn't continue to do it. Okay. So I told you guys before in some other previous video, comment on my videos, send me jokes, dad jokes. Remember that part? I just think it'd be something fun that we could do. But even the two kings of dad jokes ain't even left me a comment. You know who you are. So I expect that'll change. At least these two guys. Okay. A little bit cleaned up. Might spritz it with a little something. Maybe just a little oil. It doesn't appear to have ever been painted to start with. So, can we just put this back in with the same removal tool? Let's see. May start. Hit her with the brass hammer. Seems to work just fine. Wee bit more. Hear that sound? I think that means we're done. There's that. Well, let me find some grease. We can put this part in and kind of figure out what the little wear marks are for. So I don't know. This looks the same, left and right. So it should go in here. I just kind of wonder if maybe it was, I don't know. I don't see any reason how that could have hit anything. That's a pretty tight fit. There you go. Alright. I think we'll be able to pop her in there. I forgot the grease, by the way. Just a little looby dooby. Looby dooby dooby. It's pretty high temp stuff. Probably lasts a long time. Any kind of this clutch stuff, and you got to use some lubricant. Don't use too much, because it will sling and get on stuff and sling everywhere, getting your clutch material, and why would you want to do that? Sort of like putting grease on your brake pads. There we go. Oh yeah. Huh. A lot better it was, huh? So, being this is the opening of that thing, well, this thing goes in, it has to push this way, right? Well, no, there we go. There's a hole in the end, and it doesn't go in very easy. There we go. Ah. They're spring loaded, obviously. My back's starting to hurt. But get it in that hole. There we go. Is a little tough. All right, man. It's a little better. I think my back was just hurting, and I kept me from getting this thing in the hole, so to speak. When in doubt, just grab random tools that aren't going to help you. There we go. So there we go. They just go in a little hole right in the end, right there. A little one piece in the other end of it. Goes where? Oh, right there. And the little divots. See the divots? That thing moves really freely, so we're good, I think. There. Yep. That's all we need for that. Now let's bolt what I was telling you. Won't even fit in there now. Is it a machine to fit kind of deal? Let's machine fit it. This bolt was pretty tough to get out, but I figured because of the ledge that was in it. It's going through. So the wear spot is right there. There's almost no play there at all. Like I told Ralph, pretty sure I could just clock it different to the other direction so the pressure goes on the, well, you know, the side that's not worn. Which I think is what we're going to do, because it is so tight. And I bet this bushing has been made just a little bit bigger for that purpose. So I think we're good. That's not going to break. Okay. Now, since my back hurts, I'm going to get the transmission back up here. Well, I did forget about this part, this bushing. I did find it. It was in the trunk. It has a trunk. Believe it or not, it's a pretty big trunk, and it's not rusted. Not rusted out. So, I think I might just try welding on it a little bit. I don't want to break this tail shaft housing right here. That's just aluminum. Well, I'm over it. I beat that bushing 13 ways to Sunday. It's in there harder than a wedding dick. Didn't get that accomplished tonight, so it's getting late, and since I got a real job, some say, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll try again. Maybe some rust penetrant. No. I don't know. I'm tired. All right. Next night. Well, turns out I am an idiot. I was born yesterday. Let me show you why. So, this morning I thought, well, I'm going to find some stuff to help me push that thing out, and I found a couple things I have in my big toolbox at work. But in the midst of having to do that, I thought, well, I'll just grab the new one so I know what size everything needs to be. Smart, huh? Well, do you see that? That's a step, a pretty large one. And this is normal. This step is smaller than the normal step. Turns out this bushing goes in just like that. So the whole time I spent most of my energy with hammers, chisels, punches, bolts to shove it this way. Well, I wonder why it wouldn't go that way. So let me get you set up and we'll try to go that way. You guys didn't know I was a rocket scientist, did you? Turns out that isn't what gets you through life. It's the details. Alright, so what I got here is a piece of, let's say if I didn't have this, I'd have a piece of fence post. Cut about, I don't know, that long. That was just big enough, something big enough that that old bushing would go through. I have a block of wood here, right underneath here, so it's solid. And you know, you didn't have special tools. What would you do? Right? Get your big old masonry chisel or a big old bolt, stick her in here and just drive her out. Turns out when you know the details of how things go in and out, it'll come right out. So what I'm going to do for the sake of this, well, not this video, but somebody who's watching that don't know how to, you know, get a bushing out. Could be a control arm bushing, could be any kind of bushing, some kind of rack and pinion bushing, you know. If you know how they go in and how they're supposed to go out, the details is the devil, right? You look at your new parts knowing that it has to go this way and goes out that way. Well, now I know. Mistakes made, so I'm going to use this big bolt right here. I'm going to catch just the bushing, not the aluminum. And it just came out, right? Case is good, unscathed. Those are old bushing. Now that we know, see this little ledge? Well, you can't push it through that way. You have to push it through the way that there's not a ledge. Let me flip things over, we'll get the new one put in. Jeez. Alright, so I beat on this side trying to get the bush, the transmission bush, to go the wrong direction. But now that I know, this little small side right here goes in first. The big side is where it stops. So I'm just going to kind of get it started. Probably going to start with like a rubber mallet, you know, kind of see how far we get. We get crooked. So it seems pretty solid. But I happen to have something that fits just the right size. This is nothing special. This is some kind of turd thing that's been in my toolbox for the last 25 years. I don't know what it's really for. I believe it's to, you know, put some kind of seal in, but it's aluminum, so it's not going to tear up that steel outer ring. And it fits just right. So let's go ahead and, of course, I've got wood underneath it supporting the case, and we want it to go in straight. You know, so I keep feeling, oh, it's a little crooked. Let's go ahead and go a little more this way. I'm going to hit this rather than this. once it gets going, it's going in. Now if I force it crooked, I'm afraid I'm going to break this piece that I can't replace. Now that bushing's probably going to run into that wood. The good thing is that wood is way softer than that steel part of that bushing. I'm going to keep hearing for a noise. The solid sounding something. We're about, I can feel that ledge. We're about 3/16 of an inch away from being home. I'm not hearing that noise yet, but boy, we're close. Just a little bit further and we're going to hear it. Hear that? Solid. We're in there. And look at that. That bushing's gone through the other way. We're good. Bushing job done. Finally. Golly. And you know, we spent one night. Okay, not we. Me. Spent one night just destroying our back, our hammers, you know, our chisels and our bolts because of details. I tell this to guys all day long at work. When it comes to these cars and silly little things like this, details, man. Details will bend you over. Proves I'm right again. And sometimes I don't listen to my own advice. All right. This is what I want to do tonight. So tomorrow night we'll get, you know, the rest of it done. See you in 3 seconds. Okay, 0.3. See you. Well, that was easy. All right. Just a couple more things. Need to clean these splines up. And I'm going to show you. So our friction plate slides on the splines. It has to. It can't be sticky. But right now we're going to go and look at that flywheel and see what we got to do with that. Well, new here. New here. This flywheel, not so new. I believe it's been turned or machined at some point in the year of 1970-ish. Let's go ahead and do something about that. I'm just, I don't know. Let's do something. Fix that right up. Yep. Well, they won't come out. There we go. There we go. Boy, they're in there. Ooh, it's hot. Come on out of there. Come on, honey. It's coming. It's kind of what you got to do. Can't resurface this thing with those sticking out there. Got to have surface to work with, and those get in the way. But you also got to put them back. It's a whole thing sometimes. Putting them in, back end is another issue. Get them hot, twist them around, get them out of there. What do you think the machine shop does? Do the same sort of thing, except they're fancier. They have tools, but you can do this at home if you have to. We got to get those out. There's two of them. This restoring cars isn't all paint and Bondo. It's turning, but it doesn't like coming out. It's coming, a little bit at a time. There's probably a tool for this, and I have it right here in my hand. These are the locator pins for the pressure plate, so they're pretty important. You gotta be able to put them back. All right, give me a sec. Let me find another tool. All right, well, we're about there. Let's get a little fulcrum action. we got to do this twice. We got another one to do still. Might have to put some more heat on it, but boy, it's right there. Well, that's what you want. You want a tight fit. There we go. You see that? We gotta press that back in when we're done turning our flywheel. Stay tuned. Let me get the other one out, and I'll see you at the brake lathe. Yep, secret trick, brake lathe. And my back hurts. Well, decided we're gonna turn this honey. You can see it kind of has a pattern to it. I don't think it's ever been machined. So we're going to turn it on a brake lathe. So we got our pins out. Like right there, right there. One actually broke off and the other one's pretty tore up, so we'll have to find replacements. Shouldn't be that a big deal. We'll deal with that later. So all I've got is this cone is flat up against where the flywheel mounts, or rather the crank. Right, because that's machined flat. We know that's a flat surface. This back here may not be. What we got to do is we'll have, and I'm going to show you. All right, so like I was saying, the main thing is keeping this straight, not turning like that. So I got a cone that just fits inside that hole. I need spacers. There. This will work. Now you don't want stuff in between your pieces because it'll make it, this shaft bend. So now I'm going to see if it'll actually fit. So let's go ahead and back this. Actually, the back bit I'm just going to take out. Give me a little bit more room. As long as we get past here, past the wear part, and then turn the whole thing. We're not quite going to make it, but I can adjust this little bugger. Stick it out a little bit farther. I'll be able to just make it. Okay. If you guys can see, that bit is just past the wear point. So this in here doesn't get used, doesn't get touched, it don't matter. But I've got to get past it to where the new clutch is going to ride nice, and the pressure plate will be at the same playing field. Kind of want you guys to be able to see. Sorry about that. Let's try that. Does that look like Jonathan W. now? No, not quite as good, huh? Now let's see if it's straight. Slowest speed possible. If it's off, it's a tiny bit. Yeah, I think we're going to be good. Well, let's take a little break, come back and check on it. Well, there you go. You can see just a little bit of pitting in there. You kind of see where the old clutch rode and all that. What I'm going to do is one really fine light pass and then a special trick. Show you in a minute. All right, flywheel is ready to go. Well, kinda. What you're gonna notice, you always want to check. Put a clutch in a car. These splines right there, the ones I'm talking about, are just like these, except for these are the male and female. You should be able to slide this on here and back and forth the distance of those splines. Problem is, these don't. They kind of do. Kind of starts and wiggle a little bit and it goes. Right? Well, we can't have that. So, I'm going to get a little wire brushy whirly deal on the cordless drill thingy and get those cleaned up. That's got to slide easily, right? If it sticks, it'll stick applied towards your flywheel, and this input shaft will still turn when you got the clutch pedal pushed down. Well, sitting at a stoplight, you can't get her in gear because this input shaft is turning, you know. It's a real pain in the butt. Ask me how I know. Alright, I think I got her. Went through and, you know, wiki woo all the way around. A little bit of old sandpaper, got in that groove and cleaned it. Brake clean, PB blaster. I used the old clutch disc, just kind of a thread cleaner. And this old disc wasn't that bad, really. The pressure plate was pretty rusty, and this has got, you know, rust on it. So it could have been usable, more than likely, but I really don't want to take this thing apart unless I have to. So, just a little bit of grease, good high temperature stuff. And like I said, just a little. You don't want it all slinging all over all your parts on the inside of the bell housing. You know, we're just going to get this greased up. Make sure that clutch disc can slide back and forth like it needs to. And you know, that grease will Last a long time. They don't take much. And truth be known, that clutch disc obviously isn't going to move that much either. It just has to move freely wherever it's, you know, 1/8 of an inch is. There we go. That's what we want. All right, there's nothing there to it. So we're good. Yep. Let's get set up and get our clutch release fork thingy all bolted back in there. And hell, we're about ready to stick this thing on the back of the motor. Alright, so this is kind of how it goes, right? This bolt goes through here, the case, fork, case. And you can see there's a little worn spot. So being that the release cylinder is on this side, when it pushes, it doesn't push on the back, it pushes on towards you. So we're going to turn this bolt around to the side that's not so worn, right? And that thing, we gotta kind of force that in there to get to that war spot, then it's just right. But first, obviously, what are we going to do? Huh? Comment now. What are we going to do? Well, of course, we're going to grease her up a little bit. Alright, grease down in there, and that bushing that we replaced, want it kind of on the outside so it pivots on that case, or actually the front, it's really the front cover. So we get that set in there. We can get our bolt. We do the same thing with it. This will last a very long time. Hopefully I can find this nut. There's a nut that goes on there. So my worn spot's there. I want it facing away from me. Now remember, it was tough getting this out. And there's a little place for things to stay, because it was pretty tough getting out, if I remember right. So we might need a little persuasion. Maybe. Huh? Alright, well, let's try that again. I know you can't see. It's a little more important right now. I'll actually get it in there. There we go. I believe it started. There we go. now catching where it can't. I'm just making a mess over here, so I'm going to give her a twist. There we go. There's very little play there. All right. That's it. That's really all there is to it. So let me find that nut, get that put on there. I'll show you when I'm done. Might take a while to find that nut. Alright, flywheel goes here. It's the back of our little freshly rebuilt 1970-71 1600 MGA engine. Right inside here is a pilot bushing. See how it looks green. Alright, we're just gonna, we're not gonna do much with it because I bet it's pretty new. What I want to do is make sure there's no gunk in there. Right? See that little powdery stuff? That's just like a bronze bushing. So what I want to do, just like we did on the end of our input shaft, there we go. We get a little cleaner in there. This is like a carburetor cleaner type of thing. Yeah, took that green right away, didn't it? Just don't want any grit, things like that in there. Yep, nice and smooth. That's good. So what else are we going to do, boys and girls? Lots of grease. Now there's a cavity behind there. What I like to do when I do a manual, any manual transmission, get as much grease in that cavity behind there that I can. And the reason is centrifugal force will make it spin out. It'll work its way into that shaft as that shaft needs it. We don't want that input shaft spinning at the same time as this. We put the clutch in while the engine's running. We want the input shaft to stop and be nice and smooth. So I think that's going to do it right there. We'll also put a little grease on our input shaft, obviously, when we go to put it in. So we get set up, put this flywheel on, I'll show you what I'm going to do there. Alright, got Mr. Flywheel on here. Ain't that pretty? I mean, look at that. Look at that. It looks like it's at the machine shop. Anyhow, found my bolts, or my nuts, and my keepers. Slid the flywheel on there, and I'm like, huh. Then I realized there's shoulders on these studs that kind of press that flywheel on there. So you take your handy dandy brass hammer. And you guys need to find one of these. Stuart Poe from the Pumpkin Holler Boys got plays Dobro. He gave me this and thought, man, he says, you know, it's a 1 pound. It's got a 1 on it. He said, I think this is really old. He said, I tried selling it on eBay. He said, I figured you could get some use out of it. And I've loved this thing for all kind of different stuff. Man, one of the best tools somebody's just gave me. If you see one on eBay and it's Stuart Poe, buy it. So put a little pressure on it. I'm just hitting on the edge right here. That's not going to hurt anything. That's what these are so cool for. I'm going to get it pushed back best I can with that brass hammer so I don't. Just a tappy, right? You're going to get a sludge and hit it and screw up your thrust bearings on the crank. Here's these little thread keepers. Okay. They go like that. Little tab there. That you bend up and it keeps the nut from loosening up. And it's pretty cute. I like it. Good idea. But I'm going to go a step further. Red Loctite. Pretty sure this red Loctite stuff, they didn't have it back in the 50s when they designed this motor. If they had it, they'd have used it. I'm going to use it. So I'm just going to put a little drop on each one of those studs. Just a little drop. You don't need much. Now, guys and girls, I'm going to tell you, if you look at that nut right there. Okay? Shiny on one side, dirty on the other. Put it back on the shiny side because that's where the pressure point is. Those threads are always going to be pulled just a little bit. If you put it on backwards, good luck to you. You'll put it on backwards, torque it down, and well, you're going to pull them threads out. Maybe not. But again, ask me how I know. I took this off, I believe, with my little electric impact thing, so in theory, Ralph asked me that one time. Is that theory or is that fact? I'm like, Ralph, that's theory. I'm not too much on facts, but it usually works out. So I'm going to go across. Like I was tightening up some lug nuts. So now there's almost no space in between the crank and the flywheel, but I'm gonna you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get my impact, stick it on there. I think I did take it off with my air impact. I'll be right back. Well, that one don't want to go. Here we go. All right. Now let's mess with that clutch. Jeez. All right. You're thinking, junk? What you got going on there? Well, let me show you. I have a whole cardboard box full of these things, right? They're meant to go in the splines of the clutch and into the pilot bearing so that when you tighten down your pressure plate, it's all lined up so your transmission goes right on there. Well, out of that whole cardboard box, after 35 years of doing manual transmissions and grabbing a hold and keeping these things, I don't have one that works. So, here's what I found, and it's going to get me in the ballpark. It's not going to be perfect. That's a brake adjuster. Alright? That brake adjuster fits in that pilot bearing pretty darn close. And a nut. That nut has a little chamfer on it that fits just right inside those splines. So it's going to help me center. See, it's not perfect, but even those plastic ones do the same thing. So I've got my pressure plate ready. I've got one pin put back in, and I think I said when we were working on the flywheel that I broke the other one off trying to get it out. Heated it up and it broke out, had to drill it out, pop it out. But I have a little square bit, or a hex bit I guess, flat ended, and it fits in that hole just right. So it's probably not going to stay there. All that's for is location purposes. You don't want to bolt it on there and have it be crooked, because then it throws everything out of balance. You have vibrations and all that. These bolt holes are pretty tight anyway. Speaking of which, after some digging and looking, I finally found my pressure plate bolts right there. And what's that shiny? Oh, that's a brand new lock washer, right? most people don't know, lock washers are one-time use. They have this little hard edge on them. If I can get to where you can see it. See the little edges? Little edges right there? So that when you tighten the bolt up, it squashes it down, but those sharp edges keep the bolt from backing out. So when you put an impact or a wrench or whatever, take it back off, you end up taking that edge off. Lock washers are great, but you got to replace them. And you know, I'm going to use Loctite too. So let's see how this goes. Pressure plate right here. That's the other side of, you know, smashy. The release bearing, or in this case bushing, pushes on this, and these levers, they come backwards, they're spring loaded, and so that releases the clutch. So we've got two holes, one right yonder, another one right yonder. Here, hold on a second. I can't see you very good. All right. So I'm going to set these, at least for right now, on that pin and on my little temporary pin. It goes right on there. There's not much slop there at all. So I'm going to hold that on there. Get a little red Loctite going on my first bolt. And it don't take much. Just takes a little dab, right? Get one started. I'm gonna push it in probably about finger tight, maybe. I'm just trying to hold all this together for right now. And we'll do one more on the bottom. That's going to hold it. So now I'll get all the rest of them started. And I'm doing this on the fly. It's not like I practiced this. Well, I've practiced it over a whole lot of years, but in this case, no. If something blows up, you guys are going to see it live, or actually, you know, real time. Just a little dab of Loctite on each one. Yeah, that's gonna make it a pain to get them apart, but I'm very sure they will not loosen up on their own. That is the goal. Now hopefully I can stick my fingers in there and move this clutch disc just a little bit. So I'm going to eye down through here, thinking I can get it about as straight as I can get it. I mean, it is what it is. If I can't get that transmission holding it, you know, He-Man style, and get it started on there, then I might have to loosen these up and try to reposition that a little bit. Everything needs to line up. Well, I tell you, that looks pretty good. So then, just like you're putting a tire back on, crossy crossy, tighty tighty. Something funny about that bolt. Keep going till figure out what's wrong with that one. We got something in that hole or what? It's going. Probably just a cruddy hole. You want to get that crank down, you don't have any space between the flywheel and this pressure plate. There we go. So we'll see if my little temporary, it may not want to come out. I'm going to grab that with a pair of vice grips, see if it comes out. If it doesn't, we'll probably leave it in there because we know this one's not coming out. Again, it's for location, not for anything else. I just don't want it coming loose. It could be crammed in there pretty good and never come out. I'm okay with that. And you gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes that ain't coming out. Hate to say it. I think I see what the problem is. Alright, get right back with you. Alright, here goes nothing. This might take 4 or 5 times, but you're going to see the one time that it worked. My back hurts already. Problem is, look at that. Whew. It's good to be good. Now these belt housing bolts, what do you think I'm going to put on them? A new lock washer. And go ahead, comment now and win the sweepstakes. Red Loctite. Just a little. I like me some red Loctite. I've learned the hard way over 35 years that it don't hurt none to put no red Loctite on there. Even the blue stuff, you know. That was the first try, I swear. I was worried about that. Alright, let me get her bolted up and we're going to call this a video. Alright everybody. Ooh, I'm bloody. Something, I don't know. Got her put back together. One step closer. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Hopefully come this Sunday or Labor Day weekend, we'll be in the motorhome going to Metamora, Indiana. Pumpkin Holler Boys are playing the music festival, Metamora, Indiana. If any of you is ever in that neighborhood, go see Metamora. It's one of my favorite little towns, you know, old style kind of town, and super great people, super sweet people. I don't know, 85% of them. And I'm always at home when I'm there. So I worked all week to do little snippets and all that to get this done, and all the jackery that we did. So you should be seeing this video Labor Day, right? I'm feeling pretty accomplished. We're moving on along. Next video, we'll get the body back off the MGA, get this set in and bolted down, drive shaft in, and we'll start working on starters and carburetors and distributors, doing some special things with those, hopefully. And hopefully, maybe a video or two after that, we're going to hear this thing run. And the owner, we'll call him Ralph Jr., is going to be here for that. And I'm looking really looking forward to that. So anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for hanging out again. I appreciate every one of you. Please share, right? Subscribe if you haven't already. It's good for entertainment, if anything, right? I'm feeling so happy, I want to dance a jig. But I'm not going to. 500 subscribers, 500, I'll dance a jig. You want to talk about funny? That'll be funny. So, share, subscribe, give me a like, give me a comment, tell me what you like. Send me some jokes on the comment lines. Man, I love the old dad jokes. I'm too tired, or I'd tell you one. Alright, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Lord. Yeah. See you on Junk's Automotive next time. Oh my gosh. Oh, that hurts. Oh. Woo. Again.